Okay, this is that tumbler that I did a while back with the tacket and the yellow glitter that turned this color. I'm just gonna put this decal on it in removable vinyl, and I'm gonna do a white spray paint and then wood grain over the top for a wood grain peekaboo. And that is all I'm going to do with it. I sanded it lightly and put a fresh coat of resin on it because it has been sitting for a while. This is only about 7 inches tall and this cup's about 8. So I am going to split the middle a little bit and hopefully it'll be semi-straight. It's just the file I got wasn't made for this exact sized cup, but and I did not remove some of the little tiny sections, I don't think, so I will have some little stuff to pick out once it's on here. But that's okay. I left this folded back because it's going to probably overlap slightly or I'm going to have to trim the image. So, this is a very fresh piece of transfer tape, so it's sticky. But I think there's a couple of little leaves in here, like, that I just forgot about weeding. The rest of it came on the outer edge. I will link the video to where I did the base of this one down below. This pin pen of mine is getting very dull. It's not sharp anymore, which is unfortunate because it was one of my favorite weeding tools. But that happens. So I'm just kind of trying to look as I go around. Because it's kind of random where they are. It's not going to hurt it if I miss one or two, but if I can get them, great. And I'll look it over too again once I have everything off. So I'm going to see where this lines up now that I'm almost back around. It's going to have a little bit of an overlap, but not too terrible. So I think I can live with that. Let me get the rest of my transfer tape off here and out of the way. Perfect. Okay. So I'm just going to look for those little bits. And I'm going to move this piece back slightly, and also this piece. And if I can get this one lifted again, I can actually get that one lined up a little bit better. There. Now it's going to not look quite so wonky. And I'm just going to finish this little weed in place that I have started. Oh, this blade is so super dull. I feel like I lost a piece of this when it cut. Not sure what was originally there. Let me just pop this little piece off and maybe just turn it around, which may actually be what happened there. It might have somehow gotten turned around, because that looks like it fits that direction. I might have lifted it when I did that. This type of pattern, you're never going to know if something wasn't quite perfect. So that's my line again. And I don't really see any other spots that need to be weeded. I'm not going to worry about bubbles at all. So I think I'm good. I'm going to get this spray painted white and I'll be back. Okay, so this is all painted white now. Get this lid out of the way. So I'm ready to take my alcohol ink and do the wood grain over it. I'm going to use just teakwood for this one. A chippy brush, this is a small one, just a cheap one. And I'm just going to get started. Just to run a line and brush back and forth. I'm okay with white gaps because I'm going to come around again and make sure the gaps are filled. So I don't worry about that just yet. And I don't think I'm going to put a decal on this one. I haven't decided. I might find a little cute country saying, but I haven't. Not sure yet. I feel like I have a couple other cups in the work with like country looks to them, so I don't know if I want this to be yet another one or not. I'll decide on that once the epoxy's on it. But I just keep going around and around and around and around for the wood grains. And I don't rinse these brushes, so sometimes you get a little variation if it picks up another color that I had previously on the brush. And I don't really mind that look, so. It gives it more depth of character. And I kind of put down extra there. I'm kind of working it in a little bit different of a manner just to get a different kind of look. Like as I start to fill in, I will just feather it differently. I'm not going to necessarily go for any kind of knots on this one because I'm going to take so much of it back up with the vinyl. But you do want to make sure you don't have any little bit of white showing. And I will work the bottom over again to get those white edges after I'm done going around this time. You can use all different kinds of brushes for the wood grain look. I just happen to prefer these chippy brushes. To me, they're kind of the coarsest and work best. So I've just been sticking with them since the beginning. And like I said, I just keep reusing them. So whereas if you use like makeup wedges and stuff, you're not going to get much life out of it. Tiny little white there. You have to remember that the ink reactivates the ink that you're putting it on top of. So if you let it sit, you're going to end up with a weird look. You have to move pretty quickly when you're doing this type of method. So I have to adjust the bottom. This is going to be difficult with the camera, so I'm just going to put some on, and I'm just going to brush it to the edge and feather it up a little bit to blend in. So put a drop on and brush it up. Trying to get you where you can maybe see it. But I'm basically working the bottom the same way I did the sides. This is obviously easier if you're working with it flat, but I'm trying to somewhat let you see. And that's going to drip over the edge some. Anywhere it drips over the edge, you're going to have to address once you're done with the bottom. And I will show you that in a second. It's okay that it did that. Okay, so I'm okay with the bottom of that. So now I have this little where it ran. I'm going to try not to let it run back over the bottom, but I'm going to reactivate where that puddled and blend it back in anywhere that it dripped like that. So that wasn't too bad. I only got a couple little drips and runs. So I'm going to very, very carefully look it over for any white, because any white at the end is going to be really obvious. Alright, so next step, and I don't want to sit this on anything just yet, but the next step would be peeling all of these decals back off. And it's going to be kind of a pain, because once the ink's on the vinyl likes to break apart. But I'm only going to do a little bit of this for you to see. Just so you can see the pattern emerge. Try not to let any of the sticky part touch the ink again, because it could potentially peel it up. And try not to scratch your cup. This is my non-sticky anymore, non-sharp anymore pin pen. It's kind of been a pain in my butt. One more piece to that design right there. And like that, I couldn't find the edge. I wasn't sure exactly where the edge was. So I kind of stabbed it in the center and lifted a little bit. I'm going to get this last little piece off of this section and then give you a good look. Okay, so that is how our peekaboo is going to look. And I feel like this is going to be pretty busy to begin with, so that's why I may not put a decal on it. So I will be back when I get the rest of this removed and I'm ready for resin. Okay, so I think I got everything peeled. I have some little spots I duffed up that I'm going to fix. I don't know what the heck happened over here, and I don't know how exactly I'm going to fix that. But I've got my ink. This is just a little sticker backer that I'm going to try and put it on rather than wasting a medicine cup. Although I think it's just going to roll off on my table. But I have a teeny tiny paintbrush, so you can come in and just look for your little lines. And I have way too much ink loaded on this for the first couple little pieces. Once I go a little further, it'll get better. But just kind of work back over it again. It's going to change your overall grain a tiny bit. And I have so many scratches because that pin pen I was using is really, really shot. I really, really need a new one. But I just haven't ordered from anywhere that carries a good one, so I just haven't gotten around to it. If you have little spots like that where the white is over, your glitter, sometimes you can just carefully scrape it back off with the needle. That's how I generally do it. But kind of work your way around the entire cup. You can pick up more ink if you need it, obviously. And this is a good time if you see any other spots you didn't like to, like I have this weird spot down here. So I'm gonna, while I'm fixing this, just kind of go over it some. I don't usually scratch quite so much. The little spots of white like that are where your vinyl might not have been quite flat. So a little bit of the paint got underneath, but the ink didn't necessarily get underneath, if that makes sense. I mean, you can get in here with a little bit of acetone if you really want to, but I find on a wood grain it's just way more effort than it's worth to try and do that. kind of break up some of this also. There's another where it had a lot of single color. Not a lot of visual interest there. And I know, I need to address that in a minute here. It's not really going to hurt it if you go over the glitter just a tiny bit if you need to. So, I think I'm pretty good here. Other than this big old screw up, whatever the heck happened, I don't even know. It was almost like a rogue piece of vinyl got in the mix somehow. So it's going to end up just being a dark spot. But I don't really want to have to try and piece in white paint to fix that up. So I think I am good. And ready to get it under resin once the rest of this dries out. So, I'm going to mix up a little bit of resin and I'm going to go ahead and get this under there. Okay, I have my epoxy mixed up. I'm using KS Resin Liquid Stone this time. So, I'm just going to get a coat of that on, because I am done for the night, so I'm going to use a longer dry time on this one. So, that's it. I don't think I'm going to decal this one. I think I'm just going to leave it as is. I've been saying I'm going to start doing some different techniques and not decaling, so I think I'm going to start with this one. Alrighty. That's it.